Okay, and what was your job role at Moody's?
Okay, so I was placed as an associate, and I was placed as an associate within the credit risk analysis team. So this team essentially used to do credit risk assessments for various private sector banks across the globe. And even other private sector companies which may be lending to other companies across the world. And what this team used to do is we used to develop scorecards that could be used, that could be based on their financial statements. We used to develop scorecards that could be used to understand which is a good company to lend to and which is not a good company to lend to. Essentially, creating those Moody's credit rating credit ratings that we usually see on their websites. We used to create that for to help support our clients.
Okay. So you wrote your SBI PO exam while you were working at Moody's, right? So how did that idea of writing SBI PO come up?
It was actually after a little bit of gap after I left Moody's that I got this idea of writing this exam. While Moody's was an amazing organization to work with, it offers a lot of learning opportunities. When I was working on that finance aspect, it was not, it didn't, sound very interesting to me. I was not enjoying it as much as I wanted it to, and I felt I would at the time of my placements. So at that point of time, I felt that I need to start looking out into other sectors. I was essentially preparing for different sort of, I would say, civil services because I was getting more interested in macroeconomics and public policy sector. So I was actually preparing for those sort of exams, and by chance, I ended up, as a practice, I ended up writing various other bank exams also. And that's how I got through the SBI Probationary Officer examination a few months after I left Moody's.
Okay. So it's a popular exam in India. And can we discuss that? What is actually the job role of a probationary officer?
Okay, so probationary officer, it's the starting point for any officer in State Bank of India. It is the starting position. So their job role would keep on varying as in when they grow in the organization. But during the probation, it's mostly about, it would start from retail banking operations. So you will be posted in different branches across India. There will be some will be city-based branches, some will be rural sector-based branches. You will be placed in those branches and will be expected to handle the basic day-to-day retail operations of a branch of a bank as big as State Bank of India. And it will vary from everything, everything related to deposits, related to loans, to marketing of products. Everything will come under your ambit. So during a probation, you're mostly training. So you will get to have a hang of different kinds of roles that you can play later on. And then as you grow into the organization, I would say after your probation period ends, you join as an assistant manager who usually plays the role of a loan officer and is essentially responsible for handling all the loan accounts of the branch. And then slowly you will grow to become a branch manager, and then you can also specialize in a specific stream or a specific role. If you want to go into treasury operations, or if you want to go into foreign banking, or if you specifically want to go into credit risk analysis for SME credit, which is credit to companies, not from different from retail banking, if you want to enter into corporate banking. So those kinds of opportunities are available. All those opportunities are available, and as people grow, they can choose one of those sectors.
Okay, Gunjan. So I was thinking that our viewers would be really interested in knowing everything about Niti Ayog. And so let's first start with, how do you become a young professional at Niti Ayog?
Niti invites quite a lot of applications for a lot of positions laterally. So this is not a standard government job application. Essentially, you are making a lateral entry into the system. So you're not a government employee, but you will be working along with other government employees in a government setup. So it offers you that kind of opportunity. So that's what young professional opportunity is about. It is one of the lateral roles that Niti Ayog offers. To become a young professional at Niti, you need to have at least, first of all, 2 years of work experience, and also a master's degree before that. Or if you don't have a master's degree, I think then at least a professional degree in terms of a BTech or engineering degrees are needed. So once you have these eligibility conditions met, Niti invites applications on its website quite regularly. Keep checking their website, and anytime these positions are open, you can apply online. It's a very simple application form that you have to fill in and submit your CV. They do a CV shortlisting, and then they call the shortlisted candidates for an interview. During the interview, it will be a very short, quick interview that is usually held by Niti Ayog. Unlike the the corporate interviews that we see that are very that will have different rounds, and there will be in length 30-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute interviews. This will be a short 5 to 15 minutes interview, which will where the interviewers will be people who will be sector experts. So the advisors at Niti Ayog who are leading different sector level initiatives, esteemed IAS or other kinds of officers, government leaders are present as interviewers, and they will ask you simple questions. We can go into the details of the interview process. Usually it's basically an HR based interview, understanding what the person has done in their past, and if they're able to why they want to join Niti, if that adds up. And a few of the technical aspects are also discussed about, depending upon the role. So depending upon the sector, depending upon the role that is offered, different kinds of technical questions are asked to understand whether the person will be a good fit for the organization or not. And once that interview process is done, then again a final list is rolled out, and the people are requested to join.
Okay. So what is the duration of this position? What is the contract duration?
Yeah, so it's a contractual position, so therefore it's a 2-year contract, which is at max extendable by 1 year. But just to clarify, now Niti has also started these flexi pool requirements or flexi pool contracts, where the contracts are a little longer. So these are 3-year contracts which are extendable up to 5 years. So these are the two kinds of contractual positions that are available: lateral entrance or flexi pool entrance. The main difference is essentially in the duration of the contract, and a little bit about the administrative, where they fit into the administrative organogram of the organization. That is the major difference. Otherwise, for major purposes, your work role, your job type, it stays almost the same for both the types of contracts.
Okay. So what did you do as a part of Niti Ayog, like when you were a young professional?
So I am a young professional. Like I said, Niti has different verticals. So I am a young professional with the Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office of Niti Ayog. So this is an attached office of Niti Ayog. There are also other verticals, and there is also Atal Innovation Mission, which is another attached office of Niti Ayog. So as a part of DMEO, my role has been majorly in the involved in the monitoring and evaluation of government schemes and programs. So therefore,
I clarify, you're still in that 5-year period.
So I was a young professional. I had a young professional contract for 2 years, but before my contract ended, then there were other flexi pool positions that were opened up. So I applied to a research officer position, and now I am a research officer. So I've been working with Niti for the past approximately 3 years now. So for 2 years, I've worked as a YP, and now for 1 year, I've been working as a research officer.
Okay.
So coming back to my job role here at Niti. Like I said, I'm working with the Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office of Niti Ayog, where my role has been majorly involved in the being involved in the monitoring and evaluation of government schemes and government programs. Therefore, my mandate is to essentially see that the government expenditure is being routed to the right kinds of schemes, and to support in ensuring that. So I've been majorly working on, I would say, 3 or 4 kinds of projects over here. First of all, I was initially involved in the evaluation of several schemes related to the Ministry of Education. So Ministry of Education runs various schemes, as we know, to improve the learning outcomes in India. And our purpose, because these schemes were coming to the end of their tenure, our purpose was to get these schemes evaluated. And now, because it's very difficult to do RCTs in government, so essentially we adopt some mixed methods approach, where we do some secondary research and we do some primary research, triangulate the findings, and try to understand what are the gaps in these schemes, and then give recommendations to the Ministry of Education and as well as to the Ministry of Finance as to how these schemes can be improvised upon. So that is one kind of role that I have played. Other roles are mainly related to my monitoring function. So within monitoring, I have been looking at development of the output outcome monitoring framework. So as we know, in India right now, most of our focus is always on monitoring inputs or at max outputs. So just to clarify for the viewers, essentially whenever you look at a government program, what are the inputs that go into it? Essentially the expenditure, the human resources that you put into it. We see a lot of tracking of the government expenditure. We see a lot of data that's easily available there. But if you look at outputs would be the kind of the results of the activities that are then undertaken using this expenditure. For example, for an education scheme, if some schools get built, if some infrastructure gets built, so those are the kinds of outputs that the scheme generates. If some teachers get hired, again, you do see some data on outputs, although at times that data is also not easily available. But with digitization over the past few years, we do see that there's a lot of output data that's also generated, so we can easily measure the output efficacy of our government schemes. But what is often missing is outcomes. So essentially, if the schools were built, what impact did it really have on the learning outcomes of children? Did it actually result in better attendance rates and enrollment rates, or did it actually result in students learning more if more teachers were available? So those kinds of monitoring, we are still going towards that monitoring. So to institutionalize this whole shift, Development Monitoring and Evaluation Office essentially comes up with this framework called Output Outcome Monitoring Framework, along with, in collaboration with all the 67 to 70 ministries that are there in Government of India, as well as in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance. So we try to get this framework developed every year, and then this framework gets laid down with the union budget. So every year when we hear a lot of when we hear the budget speech, we see this expenditure is going to XYZ scheme. As a part of that budget, what DMEO and Ministry of Finance is also doing is we are also laying down that as a result of that expenditure, what will be the outputs that will be achieved and what will be the outcomes that are being targeted by these ministries. So this is one major activity that we do for monitoring. And apart from that, there are some sector level initiatives that I am supposed to undertake. So I collaborate with, I have to essentially communicate and collaborate on a day-to-day basis with various ministries. Like I am majorly in charge of Ministry of Shipping, Department of Fertilizers, Ministry of Textiles. So we try to support these ministries with their day-to-day monitoring activities, if producing policy briefs for them, producing performance notes on their schemes, so that we can better we can inform their decisions. If their scheme is going going wrong anywhere, we can try to come in with that with those kinds of inputs, or if they need our support in capacity building, we try to do that. We deal with these ministries on a very regular basis. That's majorly what anybody's role will be if they come to Niti. It's a lot about interacting with ministries. It's a lot about interacting with industry stakeholders and understanding how government functions.
Right. So, what are the other job roles at Niti where master students can get involved apart from young professionals?
So mostly these days, the lateral entrance role is like I said, is the major way to get into Niti, where you start off as a young professional if you have about 2 years of experience. But if you have more years of experience and you want to get into a senior position, there are also other lateral positions available. For example, for somebody who has about 3 years of work ex, there are consultant positions. Then for somebody who has about 5 to 7 years of experience, there are grade to consultant level positions that are opened up. Then even at director level, they have now actually started this lateral entry, which I call the flexi pool recruitment. So there are different positions at which you can enter into Niti, and your job role will vary depending upon the vertical or the office that you get attached to. So you do get to choose these verticals, or I would say the department, when you're applying. So whenever a position opens up, it explicitly mentions which vertical you will be a part of and which sector you will be working on, so that person can then take a considered call if they want to apply for that particular vertical or not. And for example, a person working in energy sector will be deeply related, working on issues related to the energy sector, but a person working on infrastructure and transport sector will be deeply related to working on that aspect. So mostly your job role will therefore vary depending on the type of vertical. But overall, like I said, it will be a lot about understanding how government functions, understanding how government processes are, how our policies framed, how our schemes framed, and giving in critical inputs and at all these stages. So it allows you to give inputs throughout the I would say policy life cycle, right from the design stage to implementation to M&E stage, which is what makes the job quite interesting, because you get to see how things function through the entire life cycle.
Right. Do you have any plans to enter academia, Gunjan?
Right now, I would say no. Also, a major reason being that, especially after coming to Niti, I have got a better understanding that, I would like my research to, drive action. So that's what I enjoy the most. So while that may vary for person to person, I think therefore I would want to see my research bringing policy changes at the ground level, and therefore I feel that academic research may not be the best way to go about it as of now. So therefore I don't have any plans to do academia, go to academia right now. But yes, having said that, if later on during my career, if I feel that some kind of upskilling is required, then from that perspective, I may think of doing a PhD in order to upskill myself and deep dive and basically understand how a research is shaped from its proposal to its final stage, so that I can have a more nuanced understanding about that concept, because right now I don't have that kind of experience. So just for that experience, I may end up doing a PhD, but academic research is not something that's my orientation right now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Gunjan, for joining me in this video. I think it's going to be really insightful for the current undergraduate students.
Thank you, Pragati. I think it was all my pleasure. I think mostly, undergraduate students now after, having a few years of work experience, I realized that we don't have a lot of idea at that point of time about what are the kind of options that are available. I was not even, I was not even aware that, public policy, these kind of public policy roles are something that I can take up. I was mostly enamored by the corporate world, and I felt that
about all these roles, like after I joined my PhD, like we never knew about, I guess, young professionals and consultant positions at ministries.
Exactly, and that's why I feel that this initiative that you have undertaken is very important, because it's very important for people to make informed choices at that point of time, because it's going to dictate the rest of their life. Well, there's always option to change your sector, change the kind of work that you're doing, and I have done that, shifting from financial to banking, and then to finally understanding that I want to do public policy. But if it's always easier if you can have that kind of understanding during your education. It will give you a much richer experience during your graduation. So that's why I feel it's a wonderful initiative. So really happy to be a part of it.
Thank you.